You spend most of your childhood believing your family simply understands money better than everyone else. Your grandfather appears on magazine covers beside presidents and central bank officials. Your mother attends charity galas with senators, hedge fund billionaires, and technology executives pretending philanthropy matters more than influence. And your father never raises his voice, because people with real power almost never need to. From the outside, your family looks like old American wealth refined through generations of discipline and intelligence. Private schools in Connecticut. Summer estates in the Hamptons. Ski trips in Switzerland surrounded by security teams disguised as assistants. Every part of your life carefully polished until it resembles stability itself. But even as a child, certain things never fully make sense. You notice market crashes somehow leave your family richer afterward. You notice politicians privately visiting your Manhattan penthouse after publicly criticizing Wall Street on television earlier that same day. And during financial crises, your father receives phone calls late at night, then calmly tells your mother things like, "The Fed will intervene by morning," hours before it happens publicly. At 14, you finally ask him how he always seems to know. He studies you for several seconds before answering quietly, because markets are not controlled by economists. They're controlled by fear. You do not understand what he means yet. At 23, you graduate from Princeton determined to build your own career independently from the family empire. You reject your father's investment firms deliberately and join a small financial analytics company downtown because you want something that feels earned instead of inherited. For 11 months, you convince yourself normal life is possible. Then the crash begins. Quietly. On a Thursday morning, bond yields spike unexpectedly across Europe. Commodity prices collapse almost simultaneously. 3 major banks halt internal transfers within 6 hours of each other. By noon, traders across Manhattan stop pretending they understand what's happening. Phones ring non-stop. Analysts scream across glass offices. Financial news channels repeat the word "contagion" every 7 minutes. Then your supervisor receives a call, goes pale in the middle of the conversation, and orders everyone to leave immediately. But before you walk out, you notice the sender attached to the emergency market memo flashing across his monitor. Your family office. That should be impossible. By evening, global markets lose nearly $3 trillion in value. Emergency meetings activate across Washington, London, Frankfurt, and Tokyo simultaneously. Journalists begin calling it the worst liquidity event since 2008. Then your father calls personally. "Come home," he says calmly. You arrive at the family penthouse overlooking Central Park expecting panic. Instead, you find 12 people seated around the dining room table drinking coffee quietly while global markets burn in real time across televisions mounted into the walls. Treasury officials. Private equity executives. Central bank advisors. 2 senators. Everyone stops talking when you enter. Then your grandfather slides a confidential market projection across the table toward you. Every collapse. Every bank failure. Every emergency intervention. Predicted nearly 48 hours earlier. Your stomach tightens instantly. "You caused this," you say quietly. Your grandfather barely reacts. "No," he replies. "We positioned ourselves for it." And in that moment, your entire understanding of the world changes, because you realize governments and financial institutions are not enemies. They are partners preserving the same machine together. 3 nights later, your grandfather summons you into his private office after midnight. He opens a secure terminal hidden behind a painting and shows you something no outsider was ever supposed to see. A network map. Investment firms connected to media corporations. Media corporations connected to lobbying organizations. Lobbying organizations connected to central banking advisors. Private intelligence contractors monitoring political instability across continents in real time. Hundreds of entities. Thousands of people. All influencing markets invisibly through coordinated pressure. You stare at the screen in disbelief. What is this, you ask? Your grandfather answers calmly. The architecture. For what? He looks directly at you. For control. In that moment, you realize Wall Street does not function like a free market at all. It functions like a managed ecosystem maintained by people wealthy enough to survive every disaster they help engineer. Then he offers you a seat inside the system. Officially, you will join one of the family's macroeconomic advisory firms. Unofficially, you will begin learning how influence actually moves through governments, markets, elections, and crises behind closed doors. You almost refuse. Then the next morning, the FBI raids your former company for insider trading violations connected to the crash. 3 executives are arrested publicly. Your former supervisor jumps from his apartment balcony before noon. And suddenly you understand the first real rule of your family's world: people outside the machine absorb blame for the machine. That same evening, you accept the offer. Your education begins immediately afterward. At first, they keep you isolated from major decisions deliberately. You analyze currency risks in Southeast Asian markets, political instability forecasts in South America, and shipping disruptions tied to Middle Eastern energy routes. But gradually, the assignments become darker. Your family teaches you how media narratives shape investor psychology faster than economic fundamentals ever do. Fear drives markets harder than mathematics. One leaked report, one carefully timed interview, one rumor amplified through the right journalists can erase billions from companies before lunch. You begin attending private dinners with hedge fund managers whose public rivalries are mostly performance. You watch senators quietly ask billionaire donors which regulations should survive upcoming committee votes. You see intelligence consultants presenting geopolitical forecasts to investors before governments release them publicly. Information moves upward first. Profit follows second. Consequences arrive last. And the terrifying part is how logical it all sounds while you are inside it. By 27, you oversee strategic positioning across several $1 billion tied to elections, defense contracts, and commodity fluctuations. You stop thinking in terms of countries eventually. You think in sectors, capital flows, and behavioral responses. Human beings become predictable once reduced into financial incentives. Then Europe faces an energy crisis after a pipeline disruption triggers panic across international markets. Your family moves immediately. Natural gas investments surge. Defense positions expand. Agricultural commodities are quietly accumulated through shell entities before shortages hit publicly. You help coordinate portions of the strategy personally. Within 4 months, your family profits nearly $11 billion. Meanwhile, electricity prices triple across parts of Europe. Small businesses collapse. Food prices spike. Governments fall. You watch protests erupt across television screens while your father calmly reviews quarterly projections beside the fireplace. Finally, you say what has been haunting you for months. This isn't sustainable. Your father looks genuinely confused by the statement before replying quietly, "Neither is civilization." That sentence stays with you because you realize your family no longer views society morally. Only structurally. Economies rise and collapse. Governments change. Crises emerge. Their role is not preventing instability. Their role is surviving it better than everyone else. Then your grandfather dies unexpectedly. Officially, heart failure. But within 48 hours, a quiet succession war begins inside the empire. Your uncle Richard controls legacy banking relationships in London. Your mother oversees political influence operations in Washington. Your father manages institutional partnerships across private equity networks. Suddenly, you are no longer merely observing the machine. You are trapped inside a battle for control of it. The first attack comes financially. Regulatory investigations target offshore entities tied indirectly to your division. Anonymous leaks begin circulating through financial media suggesting your father manipulated sovereign debt positions illegally during the European energy crisis. You recognize the strategy immediately. Not destruction. Pressure. Then your Uncle Richard invites you to dinner privately inside his London penthouse overlooking the Thames. Your father mistakes intimidation for leadership, he says while pouring wine. Markets don't reward rigidity anymore. You realize immediately what he is asking. You want me to betray him. Richard smiles faintly. I'm asking you to survive him. He explains his vision carefully afterward. Greater integration with surveillance technologies. AI-driven predictive trading systems tied directly into behavioral data harvested from social media platforms. Your father believes in controlling institutions. Richard wants to control populations. And the terrifying part is realizing both approaches could work. Weeks later, your father retaliates exactly how you feared he would. A hedge fund connected indirectly to Richard collapses overnight after coordinated short pressure destroys liquidity during Asian trading hours. Billions vanish before New York markets even open. 3 executives resign immediately. 1 disappears completely. No evidence officially links the operation to your father, but inside the family everyone understands the message clearly. Power remains centralized or the entire structure fractures. You confront your father afterward inside his office high above Manhattan while market data flickers across massive screens surrounding him. You're turning this into war, you tell him. No, he replies calmly. I'm preventing one. Then he opens a file across the desk. Inside are surveillance photographs, bank transfers, and private communications. Yours. Your stomach tightens instantly. You monitored me. Your father's expression never changes. We monitor everyone. And suddenly you understand the final layer beneath the empire. The machine does not only surveil the public. It surveils itself. Loyalty measured through algorithms. Behavior tracked continuously. Potential threats identified before betrayal fully forms. You begin investigating secretly afterward despite understanding the risk. Archive transactions. Political donations routed through non-profit intermediaries. Crisis response coordination between financial firms and intelligence-linked consulting groups. The pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Your family has spent decades influencing economic instability strategically. Not causing every crisis directly, but amplifying, accelerating, and profiting from them consistently enough that entire governments became dependent on their ability to stabilize markets afterward. Controlled fear. Controlled recovery. Controlled dependence. Then you uncover something even worse, an internal predictive model forecasting a massive American banking collapse within 18 months. Your family is already positioning assets to profit from it. They are not warning regulators. They are preparing. You confront your mother desperately because part of you still hopes there is some explanation beyond greed. Instead, she looks at you almost sympathetically. You think ordinary people want truth, she asks quietly. Truth causes runs on banks. Panic destroys economies faster than corruption ever does. So you let it happen, you ask. She never denies it. That silence tells you everything. For weeks afterward, you barely sleep. Every street in Manhattan suddenly feels artificial. Politicians give speeches about fairness before attending private dinners with billionaires hours later. Journalists attack financial elites publicly before requesting investment access privately. The system survives because everyone important benefits from pretending nobody controls it. Then your father summons you to the boardroom atop the family tower one final time. Banking executives. Political strategists. Private intelligence consultants. A crisis simulation glows across massive screens surrounding the room. Bank failures. Currency panic. Emergency Federal Reserve intervention models. Your father looks directly at you. The next correction is coming faster than expected, he says calmly. And whether you approve or not, this family will shape what survives afterward. You stand silently while Manhattan glows outside the windows like the center of the financial universe, and somewhere deep inside yourself, you begin wondering something terrifying. Does your family secretly control Wall Street because they are protecting civilization from collapse? Or did they simply learn long ago that controlled collapse is the most profitable business on earth?